All right, so let's go ahead and begin with a minute of meditation. So if you just want to sit up straight with your eyes closed and your palms up or down on your thighs, and take a deep breath all the way into your belly and release. Another deep breath all the way into your belly. And release. And we'll just spend the next minute focusing on our in-breath and our out-breath. Letting go of any thoughts or worries that we brought with us today. Just asking them to sit next to us and step aside while we do this work together. We'll come back whenever you're ready. Okay, so welcome to the Art of Full Self-Expression. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story of self-expression, and as I'm sharing this story, I want you to share in the comments or give me a like or a heart or a ha 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 whenever you relate to my experience. So first of all, I want to tell you that becoming fully self-expressed made me rich and fulfilled. It is that simple. But I also want to say that when I wasn't self-expressed, it took me a minute to realize that I wasn't self-expressed. Because in many ways, I appeared to be very self-expressed. So I wore whatever I wanted to wear, many things that people would categorize as loud, wild outfits, often inspired by Elton John or Austin Powers. If you know me, that will make more sense. I had written about my abortion for the New York Times, and I thought, well, what could be more expressed than that, right? And I remember one day, a few weeks after a publication of my very confessional memoir of abortion, of sobriety, and all these different things was published, I was meeting with a spiritual teacher of mine. And she said to me, in response to something I said, she was like, "You're so suppressed." And I was like, what? Like me suppressed? Did she know me? Like, look what I wear. Look at the book that I write, you know? But if I look at things now, this is what I could see about the way things were then. My Facebook profile picture was a New York magazine cover because I thought it would be self-indulgent to have an actual picture of myself. Like I was so afraid to be seen in any pictures of myself because I was afraid I'd be found out for being like self-involved. I was afraid to show any writing that wasn't fully vetted by editors, often multiple editors, and approved for publication by the most famous newspaper in the world. So that was actually an easy place to publish because I knew that it would go through all this editing where I would get approval from others, right? So that wasn't as self-expressed as I thought it was. I never expressed my political views, and I often used spirituality as a way to hide from my in neutrality, when in fact I was not neutral at all about my political views. And when faced with a conflict, I regularly defaulted to people pleasing. So if somebody came to me and kind of confronted me about something, or even if I brought something to them, and then instead of them taking responsibility, if they threw it back on me, I would immediately go into people pleasing and, oh gosh, you're probably right. I'm going to be agreeable and I'm going to defer to you, right? So I often would get mad behind people's backs without bringing anything up to their face. And if I did, I would default to people pleasing if they weren't immediately amenable. My bank account was regularly overdrafted, very, very bad financial situation. And I was late everywhere. I constantly felt I was kind of like drowning in life and then being judged for my ability to keep up. Even though outwardly I had a lot of these success stories going on. You know, I had Ivy League degrees and the book published, and I looked self-expressed, I looked successful, but these were the truth. These were like the facts of my life behind the scenes, and I was fully suppressed. So tell me if you relate to that. And I'm just going to refresh and see if we have anybody making comments relating to this suppression story, my own suppression story. So full self-expression is the spiritual mountaintop. Like I genuinely believe this. And I've been doing spiritual practices for a long time. I spent a long time in Buddhism. I thought it was like, you know, I wanted to be all about non-attachment, and that is part of it. Part of full self-expression involves that. I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't want anything. Like I'm a Buddhist now, so I don't want anything. But that wasn't for me what the spiritual mountaintop has been. That hasn't been really brought me to where I wanted to be in an emotional, spiritual space in my life. Full self-expression to me is the spiritual mountaintop because it's how we allow God and the universe to express through us. So God is able to express through us, through our desires and through our manifestation of those desires with aligning with God. So it's not just like I want, I get. It's not like that. And it's not like we have these unexamined desires. It's a desires that come from our intuition, from our gut, and must be drawn outward into the world. That is full self-expression to me, and that is the spiritual mountaintop. There is when you're doing it, and I'm not perfect. I mean, it's a practice, and I still find moments where I go back into these old behaviors every now and then, or I'll need to do some work around it, and that's why I have the practice that I offer you all and that I practice myself. But there is ultimately this sense of ease and flow and grace and spaciousness, creativity, peace, power, and it's not about what's happening on the outside, it's regardless of what's happening. So I know how to bring my desires to fruition, and then how to expand what I desire more and more and more, and then step into that and step into that and step into more, right? And it's not even about getting there, because when you get there, you're still not happy. And that's where kind of like the Buddhist idea comes in. If you think that getting there will make you happy, that doesn't work either, right? It's about the expansion process and knowing that it's possible, and then getting there and being like, oh, but more God. More God gets to come through, right? It's kind of like whatever it is that we're here to do or to receive or to experience is standing in line to be experienced, but we have to move through the first pieces of that, right? We have to keep the flow going in order to keep the universe flowing through us. So I'm just going to refresh. If you all have any questions as I'm speaking, or thoughts, or you're resonating, or you're thinking that you don't resonate, share it. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Oh God, these are so good. Okay, I'm reading all your comments. Okay. So what stops the universe from flowing through us is very simple. It's us, right? It's just like, it's me, stopping me. So I came up with this list of signs that were not fully expressed yet. And I say yet because you can be fully self-expressed. It's a practice. It's really everything that I am about and that I teach is about full self-expression. So these are some signs that you're not fully self-expressed yet. And it's always possible, and we're always realizing, oh, it turns out I'm not fully self-expressed in this area, so I'm just going to do a little bit of work and open that channel up. Oh, turns out I'm not self-expressed in this area, so I'm going to open that channel up. So it's a constant process of self-awareness and self-love and self-respect, and then doing the work that it takes. And resonating with a couple of these doesn't necessarily mean that you're like suppressed in that area. It's resonating with a lot of them, right? So give me a thumbs up, a heart, or a laughing face, or share something whenever you hear one of these that resonates with you. Okay, signs that you may not be fully self-expressed. 1, you're afraid of being judged to the point that you make decisions based on what you think other people would think or fear, or for fear of being rejected, or for fear of being ignored or misunderstood. So a lot of times it's not just a rejection. It's like, oh God, what if I'm ignored? What if people don't get me? So you're afraid of being judged to the point that you make decisions based on what you think other people will think or do in reaction to you. So give me a like or comment if that resonates. Okay. And the next one is, this is another sign, if you were to audit yourself for one day, you would hear yourself say things like, they don't get it, I don't get it, I'm confused, I just don't understand. So confusion is an act. We've talked about this a little bit in She Profits, but confusion is an act, and it's not the true you. It's the act that a lot of us go into when we are not fully self-expressed, or when we're afraid to be fully self-expressed in that moment. Okay, so we go, they won't get it, I don't get it, what's going on, I'm confused, I just don't understand why, right? These are, and I know this because I've done these things and I do these things. I'm just gonna do a little refresh and see what's going on here. Yes. People working through it. Yep. Work through this one. Okay, got it. Okay, another one is, you have 100 reasons why you can't commit to a schedule. You have 100 reasons why you can't commit to a schedule. And the whole idea of committing to a schedule makes you feel like you're stuck in a prison. So that's a sign of being not fully self-expressed. When we've mastered time, then we're able to be fully self-expressed. But we often use time, this idea that time dominates us, and then we try to dominate by not mastering time, by acting like we have no control. It's such an unpredictable kind of thing. I don't know how long that takes. That's a way that we stay fully suppressed. Another is, you miss scheduled appointments. You remember them at the last minute. Or you repeatedly show up late. So you kind of like aren't fully taking responsibility for time and for the commitments that you have on your plate. So the people for whom that will resonate most aren't here today, aren't here yet. You have seemingly legitimate reasons for why you aren't fully and truly going after your dreams right now. Sign of not being fully suppressed. You have seemingly legitimate reasons. So it could be like kids. It could be like, oh, I'm really busy with this other project with work right now. I have to wait until I finish this other thing. Maybe I just intuitively don't think it's the right time. Like, these are all the things that we kind of make up about why we're suppressed. This next one's a really good one because I think that it's happening a lot these days, and that is, you set boundaries from a place of reactivity and defensiveness. So setting boundaries from a place of reactivity and defensiveness. So you might set the boundary, and then in your head you're going over and over and over the boundary again and feeling defensive. Or you act like you've been victimized by somebody when you set the boundary, when in fact you haven't even communicated with them that you needed one. Another one, ooh, this is so good. These are so good, guys. You stay in bad relationships, friendships, and professional situations for far too long. And then when you do finally get out of them, you cut off the relationship entirely. Just doing a little refresh. Yes, I love these comments. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, the next one. You're depending on alcohol, drugs, pills, marijuana, not for medical reasons, and or checking on and trying to save someone with an addiction to the aforementioned substances. So that is a sign. If we're in addiction or we're in the checking on someone with addiction, that's a sign that we're not able to be fully self-expressed. Sometimes we use the substances to become fully self-expressed because we think it gives us kind of like a shortcut to being fully self-expressed. But ultimately it suppresses us, right? Because then there's that cycle of shame and self-judgment. And I'm someone who's been sober for 14 years, so I have no judgment on anyone. I've been there if that's something that you're struggling with. And I've also gone to Al-Anon, which is the group for people who are in relationships with people who have substance abuse issues. So I spent years in there. So I fully get it if you're in this place. It's a painful place to be, but there is support and help. And you're welcome to just DM me if you need any suggestions on that front about where to receive help and support. Okay, another one is you feel stuck in certain situations because you're afraid of having difficult conversations. So you feel stuck because you're afraid of having difficult conversations. You avoid things, you avoid knowing information, you avoid talking to people, you avoid dealing with things, you avoid dealing with bills. This next one, I don't know if it'll resonate with you all. I'm interested. You do not make your art. That's a sign of being not self-expressed. You do not make your art. You censor yourself. You censor yourself in bed, meaning that you don't ask for what you want. You don't have orgasms. You don't self-pleasure. You laugh at jokes that you don't find funny and or are inappropriate. So if you're laughing at jokes that aren't funny to make somebody feel better when they don't make you feel good, or if you're just pretending, not fully self-expressed. If you prioritize meaningless things over your art, if you prioritize meaningless things over your art, so you start taking on all these commitments so you don't have to do your art, or your healing, or whatever it is you're here to offer the world. You under-earn, which simply means that you earn less than you want to earn. So under-earning is just if you earn less than you want to earn and have tried unsuccessfully to earn more. This next one, so many of us get it. If someone goes to your social media account, they'd have a hard time picking out you as the owner of the account based on the photos. So they'd have a real hard time knowing who actually owns this account. You hide your face from social media. You also might hide your work and your creations and your offerings. So you might have a business or make art, but you're not sharing it on social media. When confronted, I'm just gonna check and see how we're doing. Yes, to under-earn. Yeah, the under-earn. It's a good one, isn't it? Okay. When confronted, where was I? You resort to saying or thinking the other person is right or taking all responsibility. So you resort to thinking the other person is right when you're confronted. So you kind of go into that freeze and then people please thing. And that can come from trauma. So none of this is like, full self-expression can often come from trauma, or lack of full self-expression can often come from trauma. So it's not like, oh, we're bad because we're not fully self-expressed. It's like, oh, I just need a few tools so I can move through this, right? So that's what all this is about. Okay, you are afraid of crazy people or reactive people. So you're scared of people who are super, hotheads. Or people who are unpredictable, really scare you. You waste time, have trouble making decisions. You let time and other people make decisions for you. So you wait till the bell rings to make a decision. You're afraid to be divisive. So if you have an opinion that other people might disagree with, you might just keep it to yourself or not share it on social media. And then finally, whatever you're doing now, so whatever it is that you're doing right now, you have a dream for yourself that's even bigger than this. Whatever even you're up to right now, whatever you're striving for right now, you actually have a dream that's bigger than that. It's wilder, it's more expansive, it's flashier, it's braver, but you've written it off because blank. You've written off that dream as ever happening, so you're kind of doing this kind of like approximate dream, because for whatever reason, because you're a mom, because you're too old, because you have to do something else first, because the town you live in would reject you, because you don't have the tools for that, because you don't have the talent for that. For whatever reason, you've written off that bigger dream. Do you resonate with that? Do you have like a bigger dream that's not the thing that you're actually doing right now? So I want to tell you, let me just see how we're doing because I'm so curious. These are, I mean, all these I have experienced before. Let's see. Yes. These are so good. Okay, great. Okay, these are signs that you're fully self-expressed. So I asked you all to do this pre-work where you're gonna see what resonated with you. And so what I want you to do now is see what resonates with you in terms of where you're actually really self-expressed. So there's gonna be parts of your life where you feel like, I'm actually full in this area. I feel really good about, I feel like I'm not suppressing anything, okay? So you've mastered time. So if you're fully self-expressed, you've mastered time. Time, you're no longer at the behest of time. You're not being dominated by time. You've mastered time. You are time. You generate time yourself. The next one is you've mastered money. So you know that you yourself are the ultimate source of all money that comes to you. You don't go out there to get money. You don't need to go find money, go get money. You are the creator of the money. You yourself, you as source energy through you is the creator of all finances that come to you. You understand that deeply and you have mastered enacting that in your life. You wear what you want to wear. You wear whatever you want to wear. You understand that you yourself generate all time and money. So once again, you yourself generate all time and money. You are not afraid of being judged, criticized, misunderstood, or ignored while serving others powerfully. So you're able to keep this secondary mindset whenever you're doing anything that would put you in a vulnerable position. You're able to have this secondary mindset where you know that no matter how people respond to you, you're being of service to others. So even if you fall on your face in public, even if you aren't successful, you know that on some level you are still being of service to someone, even if you never find out who, because you know that that people are watching. People are watching who aren't telling you they're watching, and you might inspire them that you don't even know what the impact is of your being fully self-expressed, but you're not afraid of being judged while you're doing it. You regularly investigate your thoughts rather than believing them. So when your thoughts come in, when your fears, any kind of form of anger, resentment, belief, you don't take them at face value. You think, I'm going to go look at that. So you might use the practice, which is the 3-part practice that I offer over on the She Profits page to work through any fears that you have, any anger that you have, any limiting beliefs to the deprogram yourself. So you really have a way, and you're not just doing it in your head either. You're really bringing it out into the world. You're writing it down on paper. You never feel that you've graduated from doing that work, right? That's being fully self-expressed, is that you're able to deal with all of your thoughts from a place of investigation and interest and curiosity. You have graduated from setting boundaries to communicating powerfully. So you've graduated from setting boundaries, which is like a wall, to communicating boundaries, which is a bridge, right? Communicating powerfully. Did I say that? Communicating powerfully. That's a bridge. So you no longer have to be like, let me tell you these things so I can be safe over here. You're able to go deeper into relationship when there's something that's not okay with you, or just something that you need to communicate with somebody. You are consciously flexible. Consciously flexible. So what that means is that you understand the value of time and of your time. You know that you have the power to say no, but you still might choose to do what would make others happy, even if you particularly don't want to do it for yourself, because you know that you had a choice in the matter and you're choosing to be of service. So you don't feel imprisoned. You feel like you have free choice. You can share freely and unreservedly on social media. And this doesn't mean that you're sharing everything or that you're not using discernment about what would be the right thing for you to share for your audience. It just means that you can make that decision based on fun and truth and love, rather than, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? And that kind of rigid feeling. You feel free to show your face and talk about your offerings on social media, whether that's art, whether that's some activism that you're doing, or healing that you're offering. You feel free to do that, to show your face and to share your work. You do not laugh at or encourage behavior that is not acceptable to you. You don't laugh at or encourage behavior that's not acceptable to you. This one's like really high level. And I'm working on this one myself. You communicate your truth even in a difficult situation with light and with an unfuckable force field. So there can be like humor as you're communicating it. It doesn't have to be the, you don't have fear come in. You're able to just have that easy flow of communication. But you have that unfuckable force field and lightness, and sometimes humor where appropriate. I'm just gonna see how we're doing. I'm just gonna refresh here. I wish I could see them all as they come in. We need to fix that. Let me see. Oh yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. I love it. Okay. So let's see. You fully own your taste. So I remember when I was getting married in 2015, it was so stressful to me, because I realized that I was embarrassed to really own what my taste was. So I was fine wearing weird clothes, where it was kind of funny, but like inviting all my friends, my parents' friends together, that was really scary. So the wedding just was a constant trigger for me. And that it was shocking because I had no idea that I had this kind of block. So you fully own your taste in clothes and interior design, Instagram posts, books, literature, movies, music. I love music. And I remember that I would find out if there'd be a band that I loved, but if I found out that they were kind of like, some people thought they were kind of dorky, I'd be like, oh, I guess I can't talk about that anymore, right? But that was me being self-suppressed, right? So we self-suppressed, and that was fear of what other people think of us. I'm just refreshing to see. Does anybody relate to my music story? Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, so it's like, can you love what you love even if nobody else is doing that, right? So, and this is actually really good for branding too, if you have a business. So, and regardless of what you're doing, you have a business, whether you're fully functioning as a business or not. So with branding, it's actually better to do something that's different than other people. So if everybody who's in your field is posting pictures of sunsets or whatever, then maybe it's not a good idea for you to post a picture of a sunset, because nobody's gonna be able to tell the difference, right? So really owning yourself and owning what you love is actually a really smart financial move, as well as being a smart move just for your spiritual status, right? Okay, next one is you're satisfied in bed and you're true to your desires. And this could include if there's self-pleasure, that you feel ultimately satisfied, right? That you're true to what you really want. You allow yourself to question gender and sexuality as constructs and own where you are on that journey. So you allow yourself to question those, to question gender and sexuality as social constructs, and you allow yourself to own where you are on that journey. That is being fully self-expressed. So you don't force yourself to like make a decision or choose anything. You just allow yourself to be in the journey of that, really knowing that you have it. You are able to assess where you are. You can share freely with your spouse if you have a spouse or your partner. So you can share freely with your partner, partners, your spouse, whoever you're with. Your friends really know you, and they know what you're experiencing in life. Your friends really know you. They know what's going through your mind. You're not hiding anything from your friends. They don't think you're all better and all fixed if you're not. They really know what's going on with you. You take 100% responsibility for all shit that hits the fan. You take 100% responsibility for all shit that hits the fan. And this is a really, really important capability for business. Like, this is the secret sauce, because when we get into business, especially if we've been unexpressed, we're suddenly in a position where we have to own all of our decisions, all of them, right? And it's nobody else is going to fix it behind our back. Nobody's going to go in there and make it all work out. It's up to us to take agency. And that, for me, that was a learning curve, because I kept waiting for time to solve my problems, right? Or I'd wait for somebody to swoop in and fix it, or for it to just go away. And that's not how it works in business. It's on you. You fix it. No matter what's happening, even if you just found out about it 2 seconds ago, it's for you to fix, right? So you can take, and if you're fully self-expressed, you can take full responsibility, and you're hooked into that flow where you just have that unlimited energy. I got to spend time with my friend Marianne Williamson. You guys might know Marianne Williamson. She's a spiritual teacher. She was a presidential candidate, and she wrote the book, the most famous book she wrote. She's written, I think, 13 books, but her most famous book is A Return to Love. And Marianne talked about, or what I noticed about Marianne. So we were like hanging out in the car for a couple of days. And this woman is so plugged into power. She has unlimited energy source. She just, everything she does was just in a constant flow of self-expression. She was like, she'd be meditating, and then she'd like pop out of meditation to tweet on her phone, but she would do it with a voice recorder. So she would tweet in meditation, and then she would go back into meditation. There was no blockage with her. She was just fully self-expressed during that time. And so I was able to kind of witness what it looks like to be in that flow without blockage. Okay, some other ways that you know that you're fully self-expressed. The other thing with Marianne, so the crazy things would be happening, and she would just pick up her phone and address it in 30 seconds flat, and she'd be on the phone and off the phone in 30 seconds flat. So, whereas at the time I would take a week or two, and still do sometimes, this is like a learning curve for me, a week or two to figure things out and like figure out what I was going to say and do my meditation and do my, she was like just in a constant flow, right? And this is years of practice. She's in her 60s. But that's what's possible, is just being able to handle shit, right? When you're fully self-expressed, you can just be handling stuff in this even flow without any kind of blockage or needing to slow down and do extra 2 weeks of processing. You're just doing it. And that's what makes it possible to run for president. Okay, next one. You take 100%, no, I already said that. You deal with crazy people, or difficult people, I should say, from a place of unfuckwithable love. So when people come at you and they are not well, or they are really difficult in some way, you're able to deal with them with unfuckwithable love. So you don't have to be mean. You can be very direct. You don't have to just like ignore them or do like, oh my God, I wish they'd go away. It's just like direct, unfuckwithable love. You love having agency. You love having agency. That's a sign. You make divisive decisions. So you don't mind kind of pissing a few people off. You make those divisive decisions. You are overflowing with creativity and seeing your dreams all the way through. You're overflowing with creativity and seeing your dreams through. You accept yourself where you are. You accept yourself exactly where you are. You're not trying to force yourself to be different, because full self-expression isn't about forcing yourself to be different. It's about opening yourself to the channel that can move through you, right? These are symptoms of having experienced that transformation, right? So we don't like force ourselves to love having agency. If you don't, you practice having agency and you fall in love with it, right? You don't force yourself to be creative, you open the channel. So if we're in a place where we feel blocked off creatively, we just need to work with the fear around that and the beliefs around that. You can do that using the Expand Beyond Fear exercise and meditation and the deprogram yourself. So it's none of this is about forcing ourselves. So we're able to accept ourselves exactly where we are. We love ourselves exactly where we are. We love others exactly as they are. And we understand, so this is like the kicker, that there is no separation between you and others. So your true self-expression becomes the way by which you are of service to others. And that is why it's the spiritual mountaintop, because others get to see you being expressed. So other than you, I want to know who specifically in your life benefits when you are fully self-expressed. I want you to share who specifically in your life benefits when you are fully self-expressed. Who specifically? I want names. And once you've answered that, the next question is, what is standing in the way between you and full self-expression? What is standing in the way between you and full self-expression? Share, share, share. Yes, everyone under my roof. Sean, my boyfriend, James, my son. Yes, absolutely. Sean and James both benefit. Me, I benefit. Yes, you benefit. Okay, Olivia, Emily, Eliza, and Willow, my daughters. Wow. Do you have 4 daughters, Louise? Incredible. Irene, who else benefits? So we benefit, and who else benefits? Who else benefits? Knowing that there's no separation between us and others, who else benefits from our self-expression? How about the people you serve? They really, really benefit from it. When you become that badass business owner who takes no shit, when you are really doing that work, you're able to serve a higher number of people. You're able to serve the people that you are serving more deeply. Yeah, okay, okay, so I'm looking at standing in the way. Yes, Irene, absolutely, partners and clients. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, trusting myself is standing in the way. Okay, trusting yourself is a fear. So if I don't trust myself, it's because I'm afraid. And then the other thing that happens, so if I'm afraid, then I often am not taking actions that would elicit the feeling of faith. So when we're afraid, well, this is what I do. I get afraid all the time. I do my own exercises all the time, if you haven't noticed. Okay, so I do my fear exercise, but there's something I want to do that would result in me being fully self-expressed. I go and I do an Expand Beyond Fear exercise, and I do so we've talked about this before. There's 3 parts: preparation, rehearsal, and action. So I go do the fear exercise with the preparation, rehearsal, and action. And then I go and take the action. And after I take the action, that's when self-trust comes in. That's when faith comes in. And that's when I start to be able to hear my inner voice even more strongly, because I'm fully tapped into my integrity. So living in faith puts me in integrity because I'm not letting fear be my leader anymore, right? Okay. Irene, I feel like the big thing standing in the way is core beliefs that prevent me from showing up in business. Yes. Have you checked out, Irene, the deprogram yourself exercise? I use that I'm about to sit down actually today and do a ton of deprogram yourself exercise. And yes, this is on delay, Irene. Yeah, you had already said that, and then I asked you the question. It's on a delay. They all are. Okay, wow, Louise, I had no idea you had 4 daughters. Holy moly. Okay. This is a good question. Not knowing how to express myself. How do I know what is me and what I am imitating from others? That's a really good philosophical question. And we're influenced by others, aren't we? So it's like you kind of, I think that I do know what you mean by this. I ask a similar question. What I always do is I think of it as experimentation. So I'll try on different things and say, does this feel like me? And even if I'm uncomfortable, does this feel like me walking toward who I'm meant to be? Does this feel like me walking toward who I'm meant to be? Yeah. Okay, I'll do one more refresh and then I'll go into the next section. Okay, yes. Okay, so the truth is that really nothing is standing in the way of you and your self-expression. Nothing is. Nothing. Because fear is nothing. Core beliefs they're nothing, right? They're just figments of our imagination, they're ideas. But we have to kind of like move those things out of the way, right? And make them not real to ourselves. So those are our thoughts, they're our reactive emotions. So the thoughts are this feeling of lack of self-trust, of questioning what is the real me. And so what I do is I change my thoughts. And when I change my thoughts, that allows me to master my emotions. And when I master my thoughts and emotions, that changes my behavior too. So I start taking actions not based on how I feel, but based on what I've decided with the formal thought. So what the practice does for you, my spiritual teacher recently gave me this, and it's like, yeah, this concept. And I was like, yes, that is what I'm doing. It's formal thought. It's when we sit down and we're thinking, it's a formal thought process of thinking who we want to be in a certain situation and what principles we want to enact and what it would look like to enact those principles in our lives, right? So once we have that formal thought that includes how our behavior will change, I no longer make my decisions based on my feelings. So I might, we're so used to being like, my intuition and all this, and I'm a full believer in intuition and tapping fully into it. But once I've done that formal thought, I use my intuition during the formal thought. So I use the intuition during the writing of the practice, the fear, the free the past, and the deprogram yourself exercise. So that's when my intuition's coming through strongly, because I've prayed before I've begun, I've meditated, I'm fully in it. Once I'm in the action, I don't go into like what I would call intuition. That's not really, oftentimes that's just fear. So I'm going to have to get really uncomfortable and walk through actions that I wouldn't normally take and I've never taken before because I've been living from a place of fear and unexpressed life, right? So once I'm taking those actions, that's on the other side of that is faith. On the other side of that is full self-expression. Okay? What you do comes from what you think. So we master what we think and then we take those actions that scare us. So what it takes to become fully self-expressed is weathering the storm of criticism, judgments, and accusations. So weathering all of that. This is particularly, we're all business owners here, whether you're recognizing it or not. This is a really big part of being a business owner, is being able to be someone who can weather the storm and someone who, things are going to fly at you. And you're going to have to be, especially if you're in the healing field, you know, you're doing this work that confronts people's egos directly. So you're going to have to learn how to weather the storm of criticism, judgment, and accusations. People saying, oh, this is for profit. People saying all sorts of things about you and your business and your life. And the other thing is, while knowing these are, like, when those things happen, so this is what I do. So I don't blame them. I'm not like, oh, these people are so bad. Although, you know, there have been some definitely very frustrating situations. What I do is I own that their reflection, whatever's coming toward me, is a reflection of my own inner beliefs that need to be dealt with. So whatever difficult situation is happening in my life or business, I take that as a reflection of my own inner beliefs, and I need to do my inner work on it to find out what is the belief I have that would make me a vibrational match to these people doing this thing, or this person coming to me in this way, right? The next thing, and the other thing I do is I own my inner desire. So is there some part of me that desires this struggle? Is there some part of me that desires this struggle, and could I give that desire up? And what would it look like? So even last night I was praying, you know, how can I can tell I have a desire for this difficult situation in my life. I can tell that something in me wants this thing to be really difficult. There's something in me, and I don't know what it is. So when I'm at that place, I just pray and ask. I'm like, can you please reveal to me what it is? And even if you can't reveal it to me, can you please move it out of the way? Because I don't want to have this desire anymore. I've learned the lesson. I'm all set, I think, you know. Can you move it out of the way for me? And the next thing it takes to be fully self-expressed is owning your past, owning your choices, owning your life, owning your beliefs, and owning your desires. Okay, so all that. So even last night, as I said, I was owning this like weird desire that I know that's somewhere in me, I can feel it, to have a difficult situation in my life. And then most of all, it's facing and dealing with your life one part at a time. So we don't tackle all of this, right? We start with one area of life. So I have a recommendation of where to begin with this, and I know that you all are already expressed in many of these areas, and that you're kind of wanting to come back to it. Let me look. I just want to look and see what your comments are so far. Yes. Wow. Yes. Okay. Irene's talking about having this core belief of being harmful to those who witness me. That's a really, really incredibly deep realization, and no amount of external validation is going to heal that belief. It's an entirely internal. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's so good. So whenever I have something, like whenever I'm feeling like a block around something happening, or I'm noticing that there's not movement in the 3D world, like if I want something, but it's not really coming to me, because we always get what we want. So if I'm saying I want something, but it's not happening, it's because there's something in me that's blocked off. And so what I do is I'll sit down and figure out what are the beliefs around this that I have that would be blocking this. So, and I totally relate, Irene, like the idea of, oh, I'm harmful to others, or I'm dangerous to others if I really do this. I have one where it's like, oh, I'm triggering to other people, and that sort of thing. So I really get that, and that's so powerful to do that work. So what we want to do is we want to tackle one area of life that will help us become fully self-expressed. And I will tell you what I think that area of life would be. So I think it's a good idea to start with time. Why? Because when we deal with our issues around time, we have to deal with our fear of communicating with other people about our time. So it actually draws up all these other opportunities to be fully self-expressed. So when we handle our relationship to time, we're also handling our fear of confrontation, our fear of asking for something, our fear of being flexible or moving things around, that we're going to lose it, right? So we get into that scarcity mentality. If I change this appointment, I'm going to lose it forever, right? And we get to create space for our art. So you get to start designing your life with time. So it's literally the way that you design your life is by mastering your relationship with time. So you create, this is the time I'm going to do my art. This is the time I'm going to work on my business, my offerings, my financial well-being. I schedule in my finances every week and I do them. I put it in the Google Calendar. I have business finances, I have personal finances, and it's in the Google Calendar. And so you get to schedule in your dream life. And you get to learn that your true ownership and agency. So that gives us endless opportunities to deal with the fears that come up. And fear itself, fear and the limiting beliefs, those are really the portals to full self-expression. It's identifying those pieces, okay? So here's how you can deal with time. I'm going to tell you the practice for transforming your relationship with time right now. Each Sunday night, I want you to just dump out on a sheet of paper everything that you need and want to do that week. So I'm talking about rest time, meals, mani-pedis, unstructured free time, time to make phone calls to your senators, time spent with loved ones, travel time, everything goes there, right? Everything goes there. And you can do it in 15-minute increments. Then you schedule it into your calendar. So you schedule that into your calendar. And I recommend using like a Google Calendar, okay? Because with a Google Calendar, you can change it around a little bit. It's not gonna get lost. It's not gonna like fall in the sink. You're gonna be able to have it with you wherever you go. And even if you lose your phone, you still have it. So there's none of that. There's no ego play that can occur around that. And when we're transforming our relationship with time, part of us freaks out when we're doing this. So weird things will happen. You're not going to be yourself. You'll start, if you're really responsible, you'll start forgetting your stuff everywhere. It's so funny to see this, but it's also so transformational to actually do this. So then once you schedule out your week, and including your sleeping time, you assess your relationship with time. So you're going to observe yourself like a journalist over the next couple weeks. And you'll want to notice, okay, where do I not schedule enough time? Where do I schedule too much time? Where do I need to give myself buffer time that I'm not giving myself enough buffer time? What do I need to just stop doing altogether? What are these like intrusions that keep happening? And where do I need to communicate, right? So we used to say set boundaries. Where do I need to communicate with someone? Where am I lacking self-discipline in saying, hey, I'm going to finish this and not finishing in that amount of time? You are time. So you choose how long things take for you. You do. You really do. And I think when we own that, our lives begin to transform. So be prepared when you do this for a very bumpy ride. I mean, transforming your relationship with time is so bumpy. It's like, it's hilarious. It's like you schedule everything and you're changing it every 5 minutes in the beginning. You're like, what the hell? But this is what it takes to implement it so that you can master it. So allow yourself to struggle with it for 90 days while you master it, because you're gonna have a lifetime relationship with time. So it's worth it creating this relationship. Now, I wanna ask you, what fears do you have about keeping a schedule? What fears do you have about keeping a schedule? So I know some of you, when I bring this up about time and a schedule, you're like, no fucking way. This sounds like hell to me, okay? And so tell me what your fears are. Share your fears. Okay, while you're sharing your fears, because it is on like a 10-second delay. And it always is whenever I do these. So when you, let me see. Okay, so you're gonna make a list of your fears around having a schedule, because yes, this is very triggering for especially artists, especially creatives. We like to be like, oh, I'm so spontaneous and I just do whatever and I like go whichever way the wind blows me and it all works out. But it's like, truthfully, it's not working out if we have not mastered time. So do it, and then for each fear, do an expand beyond fear exercise and the meditation around it, so you can get into the action plan and start to have some more ease around having this positive relationship with time, masterful relationship with time. know as you're doing it that there is a part of you, the ego does not want you to master time, does not. So there's going to be a part of you that just fights this tooth and nail, like the whole way, and just let that part of you be there, let it have its little ego fit. And that's part of the, being the observer of your thoughts without being fully engaged with them, right? So you're observing, that part of me is really pissed off about this whole schedule thing, but I'm going to stick with it for 90 days. And okay, so I'm going to go back and see if we have some fears listed, because this time thing, the schedule thing really, really gets people upset. Yes. Irene, okay, so the deal is, Irene's like, I love the idea of doing this, but I just don't stick with it. So the idea is that you're going to make your list, you're going to put it in your iPhone or your calendar, and then you're going to throw away the list, and then you're going to just go for it, okay? You're going to change things around. But what happens is we often only try this for like a week or two, and then we give up. You got to give yourself 90 days to put this in place and like really let it be so bumpy. Like let yourself not sticking to it. That's part of the learning process. So you don't stick to it and you're like, okay, why didn't I stick to it? Well, was I like suffocating myself by putting like thing after thing after thing after thing, right? Where I don't have any room to be myself, and in that case, or to take a breather. So then you schedule in breather time. So if you're not sticking with it, what I do is I go back and ask, I ask myself, what is it about this that's not working for me? Like, why am I not sticking with this? Yes. Okay, great. Crystal Angel Karen says that she tried it and everything was great for 15-minute increments until illness struck in the family. And it got better over time. So just get back on the horse. That's fine. Get back on the horse. Yeah. Mariah, I can't manage my time when I'm with kids. Yes, they pull me out of what I plan to do. Okay. So with this, I get it. I will add on, like, let's say I'm doing a task that's like 20 minutes 20 minutes long. I will add on I'll do like 25 minutes or 30 minutes for that task that would normally take me 20 minutes. So I just add on time, but I also know that children are very receptive to what we're available for, okay? So if I have a fear that they're not going to let me do, my son's not going to let me do whatever it is I'm doing, he can sense that and he's like, oh, mom's available for me right now, because there's nothing in her force field that says like, not right now, mom, right? So he's going to be more needy. He's going to come over and be breastfeeding and doing all the things. So he can sense it. So my job is to do the fear exercise around actually getting the stuff done, right? And letting go of that reason. And that has started to change things so that he can feel it. He can feel a difference. Okay, let me just see if there are any other fears. So do the fear of not sticking with it, Irene, if you want to, in the using the fear exercise. How do you manage breastfeeding on demand? It is a whole thing. I don't manage it. I've learned to do a lot of things while breastfeeding. I walk around, I read, I do work, I do a lot of things while breastfeeding. Okay. I think fear is that I won't harness the creative energy when it shows up, and then I'll lose the energy I wanted to capture and express. Okay. So Irene, if you can switch that so that it's like, the creative energy, you can't lose it. You can never lose it. There's an abundant nature. Creativity is abundant in nature. So the idea that I could lose the creative energy, I'll lose the energy I wanted to capture and express, that's coming from a place of scarcity mentality. So just do the fear exercise, and I think that'll open it up for you so that you're feeling more of that energy flowing in without, can you change the belief to, I can't lose this. I can't lose this. I remember a few years ago when my book came out, it was the same teacher who told me I was suppressed. I was I did an interview on NPR for my book, and I came out of that and I was like, God, I did terribly on the interview. It was so bad. I totally blew it. and now I'm not going to get any more. It was like what little press I got, and I'm not going to get any more press for my book. And she was like, oh, you just are, she was like, that's just scarcity thinking. It's not true. She's like, you're going to get so many interviews. So I just changed my thinking to, I'm just going to get so many interviews. I'm just going to get so many these radio interviews all the time. And I started getting all these random, like from all different angle radio interviews when it had been like months of radio silence, if you will. So it's really about changing what we're available for and understanding that whatever it is that we're desiring, it's abundant in nature. We just need to switch our thinking about it. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm just gonna do one more little refresher. Okay. Okay, the schedule thing works really well until my boyfriend comes home from the sea. I couldn't say when he will be home or away because he's at the mercy of the weather. Any advice on the unpredictable change in dynamic? Yes, that's a communication that you need to have. So this is very common. So we say, oh, I can't keep the schedule because like I can't keep it whenever so-and-so's here. Yes, you can. And the work is to do the fear exercise around having the direct conversation with them, and then have a direct conversation. Say, hey, here's my schedule. I'll share my Google Calendar with you. This is my schedule. And then you schedule them in. So you say, when would you like to do this? When would you like to do that? And you schedule it into the calendar, and they might be resistant. Some people are very resistant to calendars. Money blocks and time blocks, completely related. I know I've talked about this before, but your relationship to time is your relationship to money. We must master this time thing in order to master money. So do the fear exercise and then have the conversation and let us know how it goes. So it's a very common thing. Like, I can't do it because of other people, but you can. It's a communication issue. And that's why starting with time is such a good thing, because it allows you to practice being fully self-expressed and owning your full choice and power in every situation. Because we do have to have these hard conversations. We do have to say, hey, I'm not available then. Even though they want us to be available. So people pleasing shows up and we're like, but they want us to be available. Well, we're not available. They can want us to be available all day long, but we're not available then, right? And that's how it looks. Okay. So know that once you start mastering time, you will see your life, your bank account, your art, your business unfold in an entirely new way. And I know that you can do this. I know you can do this. It is not easy, but you can do this. Just never give up on it. So when I was really transforming my relationship to time, my God, I mean, I had to be so rigid with myself in the beginning. I was actually pregnant at the time, and I would make these schedules for myself, and then I would just be so tired. So I had to learn how to work with my energy levels and even the ego. So the other thing that happens is it was really hard for me to tell the difference between pregnancy tired and just ego tired. So when you're doing this work, you're suddenly going to get so tired because the ego is being like completely obliterated. So just be gentle with yourself and keep at it. You can absolutely do it. Share with us what's possible if you master time. So that's the last thing I want you to share. I mean, you can share all the things that you want, but the last prompt I'm going to give you is what is possible for you if you master time. And in the meanwhile, I'll summarize. Being fully expressed is the spiritual mountaintop. It is. And it's because it's the way that you align with the energies of the universe, let the universe express itself through you over and over and over again in all new ways. As you keep expressing, it finds new ways to express. And through that, you are being of maximum service to the people around you because they get to watch you in full self-expression, and they get to be fully self-expressed. You give them permission to do that. And it is freedom to do that. So finally, I just want to see what you all have written. Just taking a look. Let's see. What is possible for you if you master your relationship with time? You guys all gone? I will say for me, this was possible. Creating so many ways that I now get to be in community with you all and get to know you all and get to share these things with you all. This is what's been possible for me, and it is like the joy of my life. I love it so much. I feel so grateful every day. Okay, yes, Mariah. Mariah will create her next course. Yes, that is mastering. That is it. And that's part of your self-expression, Mariah. And fill it. Ooh, yeah, fill it. Okay, and then Crystal Angel Karen says, realizing my fully expressed dream life is possible. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Oh my God, you guys. It's so, so cool. Okay. Being of service and in community is possible if I master time. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually filling my client roster. Oh yes, you will. Oh yes. Okay, I'm gonna give it one more refresh in case anyone wants to share anything else. Okay, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Go be fully self-expressed. Use the tools. You've got this. You can do this. We are all in it together, and keep us posted in the group as you're doing this work this week. Bye.